Welcome back to the podcast. This is Layla Rose. Today we have a very spicy topic. We're going to be discussing sexual alchemy, menstrual blood magic, womb power, and the divine world order. So, a lot of information. I'm going to try my best to cover every topic. But obviously, there's a lot of things to say, and it might take a few episodes to fully discuss all the details of everything, but we're really going to be focusing on at least the foundation of each topic, all right? So, what should we start with? Sexual alchemy, I feel like, is the basis of, working with any sort of magic or womb power, because it is impossible to create a new world or to really manifest something if we don't clear the negative energies first, the trauma first. All right. So usually when we think about alchemy, we think about those 3 different steps. All right. If I can just, summarize it very quickly. So the first thing we're going to do with sexual alchemy is we're going to be focusing on coming back inside of our body. It's so important to go from our head to our heart space. Especially if if we're so used to work all the time, and, we have responsibilities, and we might spend a lot of time within our mind, within our brain, and it's very exhausting, especially if you're a woman, especially if you're a feminine woman. It's too much sometimes. So the first step of sexual alchemy is to really come back into the body and to do somatic exercises to clear those trauma, so to remove the trauma out of the body. Because we know that already, if when we go through any sort of trauma, our body really keeps score. Like the body, especially the fascia, there's a lot of studies on that. The trauma gets stuck within our body. So this is why there's a lot of illnesses and issues that really start with stress, right? This stress is really the root of a lot of illnesses. And so when we do a lot of somatic exercises, breath work, for example, not the Kundalini one at first, we want to focus on doing those very controlled, deep, slow breaths. So you can actually go on YouTube and just look for those videos that says, controlled relaxation or grounding. We want to regulate the nervous system at first. And as we're doing that, moment by moment, day by day, we clear trauma out of our body, and we can really start with a clean slate. And then once we've done that, we can move. Oh, by the way, once we do that specific, sexual alchemy process, it is very normal to have releases, emotional releases. That's usually when we start crying out of nowhere, or any sort of negative emotion that really comes up is a normal process. Sometimes it can just be, laughter. It really depends on how your body reacts. There's no, specific ways. It can be very unique to everybody. But you're going to feel it. You're going to feel this release of tension, and it's just going to feel good. So the next step of the sexual alchemy process is to focus on the future, focus on the goals and the dreams. So instead of, talking about the past over and over, obviously we don't want to bypass that first step with the alchemy, with clearing the negativity, because if we would do that, that would be considered toxic positivity, where we just simply suppress the negative emotions and we're just like sunshines and rainbows and love and light, that's very invalidating for a body to do that. So obviously we have to do that first step. And then that second one is when we stop talking about the past, right? We stop, it's just going to be a natural process anyway. Once you clear the negativity, you're going to be more focused on what you want to amplify, right? What you want to create, what are your ambitions, goals, dreams, and honestly, that could even be an emotion, If you don't have any specific idea of what you want, you can focus on the emotion of peace, the emotion of freedom, and just trust that whatever is meant for you that is aligned with that emotion is going to come to you anyway, all right? So that third step when we work with sexual alchemy, so once we've been very specific about what we want to create, what we want to attract, or what we want to, however you want to call it, then the third phase is charging these visions or goals and dreams with or orgasms, all right? So we can actually alternate between charging those visions with our orgasms, but also we want to make sure that we're not just sending that sexual energy away all the time. We also want to make sure that the sexual energy comes back to us as well, all right? So one way to do that, I'm going to try my best to explain it just, with words, obviously, because I'm a visual person. But if you don't know what the Ankh looks like, you can Google it. So the ancient Egyptian Ankh, when you look at it, it kind of has this infinity symbol in it. So when you're going to have your orgasm, you're going to use that symbol. You're going to imagine that your body is the Ankh. So your sexual energy is basically going to travel from the bottom of your spine, and it's going to make that infinity loop and come back to yourself. So obviously it's going to pass through all your chakras. But yeah, you can just do this like fun visualizing game when you're orgasm. So we actually call it anking the orgasm. So that's a good way to to use your own sexual energy. That's actually how you can look younger as well. I'm just being honest. People are gonna notice that you have this glow about you, because it's the sexual energy, or kundalini is the energy of creation. So it's really going to help you feel more youthful, just in general. You're gonna have a lot more energy. Yeah, so you can alternate really between, whatever feels good for you in that moment. If you'd rather just keep your sexual energy, or you want to charge a specific goal or dream, obviously you can send that sexual energy to someone that you want. But obviously that's not something that I necessarily recommend, because again, you're just going to send your energy away. And that could be just like a bad pattern of just like giving all the time, especially because we know that everyone is us pushed out, because of the law of oneness. So when you send yourself sexual energy, automatically you're going to be sending that energy to other people. Like, people are going to be able to feel it. You're going to have people from the past trying to reach out to you. Like, people can feel the energies. It's just, we can't explain it in a rational way. So yeah, that's what I would personally recommend. So when it comes to menstrual blood and menstrual blood magic, I know that usually when I mention that to women, like in person, like I can see women's fear. They're like, what do you mean? Like, it's a very scary, I guess it's because of the programming, but also, because of religion and the witch hunt. I feel like a lot of people have subconsciously this fear of embodying their power, basically. So when we work with menstrual blood, when it comes to menstrual blood, a lot of people perceive it as something that is dirty and that is just not sacred, which is very interesting because it's coming from the womb, the chalice, the Holy Grail. So it's actually the opposite. It's the most sacred thing on the planet. And And it's very interesting that, because even people that are religious that are like, God didn't tell us to do that, blah, blah, blah. Well, if God created you in his image and he also created your menstrual blood, then how do you, you know what I'm saying? Like, make it make sense. But anyway, what is menstrual blood? So there's a lot of studies actually when it comes to menstrual blood. It has a lot of healing stem cells. So menstrual blood has the capacity of activating, the menstrual blood can activate cellular capacity, that's what I meant, to regenerate. So there's actually studies also showing that menstrual blood can heal cancer. It has something called endocrine in it, which is a chemical that can create a state of rupture. So there's a lot of studies on menstrual blood, but for some reason, I guess, just to make sure that most people don't know how powerful they are and they don't use their power, this has been hidden. But yeah, it's very simple. Like, if you want to use your menstrual blood, for example, to create something, you can use it, for example, to set intentions. You can have like an altar and have literally your blood on it to worship yourself, not some deity or demon, like just you can just worship yourself. And again, you can also put your blood within the earth while you're practicing, your intentions as well. That's really powerful too. So you're working with Mother Nature, basically. You're working with the cycles instead of working against nature, right? Pardon me. And so when we talk about the chalice of blood or the Holy Grail, that's what it is. When you look at it, it's actually the shape of the womb. So like a lot of people don't know about this, but that's what it is. And even in the Bible, it says, drink of my body and have eternal life. People think it's about Jesus' blood, but it's not. It's about menstrual blood. But anyway, it's just a lot of things to say about that. But even in ancient Egypt, that was very sacred. There used to be menstruating rooms as well for women to go in there, because it has been known that when women menstruate, they are more spiritually in tune, and they get a lot of messages, intuitions, and downloads. It's usually connected to the archetype of the high priestess. All right. So when we have our period, depending on which time of the month it is, if it's aligning with the full moon, then it is aligned with the energy of the high priestess of, the oracle, which is the most powerful archetype that a woman can embody. And this was the archetype that used to, that was basically chased down. When it comes to the witch hunt, those were the women that were killed. So yeah, I guess that's what it creates a lot of mixed emotions within women, especially if they were brought up in a household where it was, if a little girl was told that it was disgusting, or her period, was gross, or it was demonic, or whatever, I understand how, traumatic that experience can be. And obviously, stepping into our full power can be an extremely triggering experience. But obviously, at the other side of it, it's a beautiful, blissful way of living. Obviously, there's a lot of more things to say about womb power, but this is just the basic, knowledge. If you have any questions, by the way, suggestions for my next episode, let me know, because I'm gonna be talking more about how we can work with our womb and how sacred it is, and how we can fully embody this frequency, basically. And so we're gonna end this episode with the divine world order, all right? Because we hear a lot about the new world order, which is the man-made version of it. What's happening right now within our planet is that the there's an ascension, so there's a collective ascension. A lot of people are waking up to the reality, and so that's why, even in the Bible they say it's the apocalypse, right? The great revelation. But when it comes to the meaning of the word apocalypse, it actually means to uncover, to reveal. So the truth is being unveiled, and that's what's happening right now within our planet. But unfortunately, there's a lot of fear mongering, and so people think it's the end of the world, but it's not. It's actually the beginning of the new world. But what people call the New World Order is a man-made agenda, I would say, from the World Economic Forum, which has been known, for a couple of years now. And so what's happening at the same time, because they're creating this huge distraction, but what's really happening is something called the Divine World Order. So what's happening is Gaia, Mother Nature, however you want to call her, is also awakening and ascending to a higher frequency. And therefore the divine feminine energy, because when you think about nature, it's feminine, Mother Nature. All right. So that's why when people say God is a man, I get a little bit confused, because I'm like, well, Mother Nature is feminine. But anyway, and we also, we come to this realm, we come to Earth by, everybody goes through their mother's womb. So no one is, above that. Like, everybody goes through their mother womb to come to this world. So the feminine energy is the portal, is the creator between the two realms, so the spiritual and the physical realm. And therefore, what's happening right now is the divine feminine energy is just rising, and we can see it everywhere. A lot of women are coming to these positions of power. And what's really interesting with that, obviously a lot of women are waking up to the fact that they were witches in other lifetimes, or that they have these psychic gifts, or that they're just more powerful than what they think they are. And what's really interesting is that everybody who's aligning with this divine world order, with this dark energy, dark matter mother, is seeing the results of that. So more than ever, we're seeing a lot of people, especially women, being paid to live. So especially with social media, a lot of women have mastered passive income, for example, and there are a lot of different ways to become wealthy and free and liberated by using, for example, the internet, right? And a lot of people that don't want to pivot, that don't want to change their ways, you're going to notice that those are usually the people that have illnesses. And I'm not wishing anybody, any bad things, but this is just something that I've observed, and this is something that anybody can observe right now. People that are not aligning with the divine feminine energy is being taken away. Like, people are just getting sick and they're just leaving Earth because it's part of the ascension process. And so the easiest way to really tap into this energy, whether you're a man or a woman, like, it doesn't matter, is to really connect with the divine feminine energy within yourself. So obviously tapping into your womb power and, working with your menstrual blood, that's one of the ways. If you're a man, just honoring women in your life, especially your mother and your sister, if you have one, or like your wife. So honoring women, providing and protecting women is one of the ways to fully align with this energy of the divine feminine. And by the way, this is something that Christianity knows already, even though they're saying not to worship Mary and worship women. Like, they actually do worship Mary, because when it comes to even the structure, like when you look at churches and you go inside, there's usually a lot of statues of Mary. And there's candles. So these are all, different ways of doing rituals, actually. A lot of people don't even know that. So they're worshiping the divine feminine energy, and that's why they're able to, still have wealth and really have the resources, because that's what happens when you work with the divine feminine energy and you worship feminine energy, whether it's you, like if you're a woman and you worship yourself, if you honor women, you know, your mother, your sister, and another woman as well. You give money, for example, like you buy a course from a divine feminine, it's going to automatically amplify your wealth. Like this is something that's been known for like thousands of years, you know. And this is even something you can notice for yourself as well. And it doesn't have to be like crazy amounts, but as soon as you give energy or you honor the feminine, you're going to see an increase or an amplification in your resources and your wealth. And this is why the most powerful, wealthy men on this planet have wives. This is the main reason. It makes them more powerful just automatically. So yeah, there's a lot of things to say about that subject, but I'm going to end with that. Let me know if you have any questions, suggestions, and I'll see you tomorrow for our next episode.